In this section, we will discuss the different levels of delegation and how you can use each of these levels to effectively delegate tasks to your team members. No discussion on delegation will be complete without reflecting back on some of the work by Stephen Covey. Most of you will be familiar with his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that was published in 1989. Other work includes The Speed of Trust, for example, where he also spoke about the importance of leadership, collaboration, and delegation. Stephen Covey said on delegation, effective delegation is perhaps the best indicator of effective management simply because it is so basic to both personal and organizational growth. In fact, Covey went as far to say that organizations are not able to grow without effective delegation. Stephen Covey spoke about gopher delegation versus stewardship delegation, and it's important for you as a manager to decide where you are currently at. Gopher delegation is basically exactly what it says. This is when a manager delegates tasks by giving commands. There is no sharing of the bigger picture or of the vision for this task. It basically says, go do this, and when you are done, I will give you something else to do. The word management springs to mind. Stewardship delegation, on the other hand, is more about agreement and trust. There is agreement on the result to be achieved. The method is left to the employee. And remember, involvement encourages commitment. In order to explain the concept of stewardship delegation, Covey related an example of where he delegated the task to keep the household yard clean to his then 7-year-old son. It was a 2-week process of training preparation before the task could be successfully delegated to his son. Covey suggests that stewardship delegation is the only way that works. In this example, rather than telling his son what to do, how to clean the lawn, how to pick up the trash, he delegated the responsibility to his son. His mission then became to keep the yard green and clean. As a leader or a manager, when delegating tasks, you need to sort out where you are on this continuum of delegation. Do you only give commands, instructions, and then wait until it's completed and then give other tasks? Or do you give trust to employees and leave the method to the employees in the delegation process? Let's explore this concept further. There are basically 5 levels of delegation. If you do internet searches on the topic of delegation, you can see that there are many models talking about delegation, and some talk about 7, 8, or 9 steps of delegation. We will stick to this simple model where there are 5 levels of delegation. They are assess and report, recommend, develop an action plan, make the decision, and full delegation that links to our example where Stephen Covey gave the yard cleaning task to his son. The first level of delegation is assess and report. This is basically where a manager says to an employee, we will discuss the options, I will decide and tell you what I want you to do. So let's use a practical example. A manager wants to enroll a staff member in a specific training program on facilities management, but he is not sure which program and what provider to use. He then asks the employee to do the research on this. So the manager is asking the employee to gather information, find the names of providers, companies that provide the training with the content and the cost. He tells the employee exactly what he wants, and he reminds the employee then that his decision making and control remains with the manager. In other words, The employee in this example won't decide which training to attend. The employee will bring all the information to the manager, and then the manager will decide which of the options will be best for the employee and enroll the employee for that training. The second level of delegation is recommend. This is where the manager says to the employee, let me know what you intend to do, but don't take any action until I approve it. In our example of the training program, where in the first level the employee will ask to do some research on different facilities management training programs and which providers provide that training and the cost, the manager will say, bring all the options, recommend which option you think you should attend, but I will make the final decision. So in other words, the employee makes recommendations for action, but the manager retains complete control of the decision. At level 3 of delegation, the employee will be expected to develop an action plan. The manager will say, let me know what you intend to do, but don't take any action until I approve the action plan. So in other words, the employee makes recommendations and come up with action plans, but the manager retains the role of decision maker. At level 4, the employee will make the actual decision. The manager will say, decide what to do, take action, and then let me know how it all worked out. The employee researches the problem, make recommendations, and compile the action or implementation plan. The employee makes the decision without the manager and only reports back on the outcome. In our example with the employee researching the different training programs, the employee will go out, do the research, compile a short list of providers, decide on a program, get the approval to get the vendor on the vendor list, and then enroll for the training and attend the training, and then give feedback to the manager in the end on how it went. Level 5 is full delegation. This is where the manager says, I trust your judgment. No further contact with me on this issue is required. The employee handles the decision making, and the employee is fully accountable for the outcome of that task. The employee only reports back when they encounter any problems. It goes without saying that to reach this level of delegation, trust is involved, and you can only get to this level when you've spent enough time on training and developing and preparing an employee for this level of delegation. John Wooden, the most successful NCAA basketball coach of all time, winning 10 national championships in 12 years, said, personal greatness for any leader is measured by effectiveness in bringing out the greatness in those that you lead. It is only at the level of full delegation where you can really bring out the full potential and greatness of your respective team members. And then I'll leave you with this insight from Stephen Covey. Trust is powerful. It is also fast. It can be lost quickly. Trust is also reciprocal. If you give trust, it will be given back to you. Delegation is a result of this trust.